Hi guys, this is Mrs. Bastelka with vocabulary for chapter 22, our second to last chapter for this year. You can see the 10 words that we're going to talk about this week: commemorate, complacent, consensus, deplete, diligent, empathy, mental, niche, transcend, and wave. These are the 10 words that we're going to talk about this week. Let's start with commemorate. We commemorate the men and women who died in service on Memorial Day. You guys probably know that Memorial Day is about remembering or honoring the memory of soldiers who died in wars, from the Revolutionary War to World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War. We commemorate them on Memorial Day. Commemorate almost sounds like memory, so that's a great way to remember the definition here. To commemorate is to honor the memory. Since it's something we do on Memorial Day, it's an action or a verb. Moving along to number 2, complacent. The complacent man looked around his $1,000,000 house and said, "Life is good." If you have a $1 million house, that means you're not working very hard to get a lot of money. You are self-satisfied. Now, to be complacent usually has kind of a negative connotation to it. And by that I mean someone who's complacent doesn't work hard, doesn't try to get ahead because they're just happy with what they have. You could be complacent without being rich. You could have very little and just decide to be complacent to not get more. Because it's describing a person in this sentence, the complacent man, it's an adjective. So people who are not complacent are people like athletes. They are always working hard. They're never satisfied to get ahead. If an athlete is complacent, they're probably not the best athlete on the team. They're probably not making the big bucks because they are not busting their behind to make more and do more. Let's move on to number 3, a consensus. A good leader will try to reach consensus about important decisions that affect everyone. So as you can see all these hands together in the picture, you can see the leader trying to get consensus among everyone. That's because a consensus is an agreement or an opinion. Usually in the United States, we don't have consensus on, let's say, the election of the President of the United States. We have different people believing different things, having different opinions. In a classroom, there's usually not a consensus about the interpretation of a story. The idea of consensus is everyone agrees. Now, it's something in this sentence that a leader tries to reach. So you can think of it almost like a place, but it is a thing or a noun. Consensus is agreement or opinion, and it's a thing, a noun. Moving along to number 4, deplete. Without new conservation laws, humans will deplete the rainforest of all its trees. You can see in this picture, and you can understand from this sentence, that the rainforest is being depleted or used up, destroyed. At home, it's important that if you deplete the groceries, you put on the list what you want to be picked up at the grocery store. Or if you deplete all of your data on your phone, you know that you're going to be spending a lot of money at the end of the month. So to deplete is to use up. Because it's something you do, like to your data, it's a verb. It's an action. All right, we're halfway there with number 5, diligent. After years of hard work, the diligent student achieved his goal of becoming a doctor. So a diligent student is used to doing hard work. Steady, determined, and careful in work. Somebody who doesn't give up. Somebody who works hard is diligent. So we were talking about athletes when we were discussing complacent a few slides ago. A complacent athlete is not diligent. They're self-satisfied, so they don't work hard. A diligent athlete goes to every practice, works on every drill, tries to impress their coaches at every moment. That is steady and determined in their work. So diligent is an adjective, because remember, it's describing an athlete or a person. So it's a descriptive word, an adjective. Moving along to number 6, empathy. After Samantha heard that her Nana had passed, Becky hugged her friend with empathy, since she also had lost a grandparent. So Samantha, I guess in this picture, has lost her grandmother, her Nana. Becky is showing her empathy. Becky has the ability to share in someone's feelings. She's trying to understand, or she does understand, what Samantha's going through because Becky's also lost a grandparent. Empathy is what you feel when you see someone hurt or injured, when you see someone who's lost a loved one, like in this example, when you see someone who's experiencing a difficulty and you try to understand what it is that they're feeling. So empathy, because it's something you experience, it's something you have, it's a noun. This is one of those nouns, it's like love. Love is a noun, but you can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's still a thing, it's still a quality that you possess. So empathy is a noun. Number 7, menial. Without a high school diploma, you're most likely to only qualify for a job of menial labor. George and Lenny, in our book of Mice and Men, they did menial jobs. That means they didn't require special skills. They just traveled from farm to farm, doing whatever the owners of the farm asked them to do. Now, there were other people in Of Mice and Men, characters in Of Mice and Men, who didn't do menial labor. For example, Slim, the jerk-line skinner, he led the other men. He had specific skills that he was able to do. Much like Crooks. Crooks was able to maintain the horses and help with that. So they required special skills, those jobs. They were not menial. Menial is describing a kind of job or a kind of labor. Because it's a descriptive word, it's an adjective. So it describes the kind of job someone might do. Moving along to number 8, niche. Take a look at how that word's spelled, N-I-C-H-E, but it's pronounced niche. Bob found his niche when he discovered his talent for ice carving. Take a look at that picture. That is made out of a block of ice. So a niche is like a special talent. It's an activity or situation especially suited to a person. A niche is something that not everybody can do. It's specially suited to certain people. So some people have a niche for football. Some people's niche is art. Some people's niche is fashion. It is a niche when it's an activity. It's something you do that is especially suited to you. Now, because it's something Bob found in this sentence, it's a thing or a noun. Just like with empathy, you can't touch or see a niche. It's something that is abstract. It's an idea or a not something that you can, as I said before, touch. So even though it's a noun, it is a quality or thing. Moving along to number 9, transcend. Does anybody recognize that little girl? I bet you do. Oprah Winfrey was able to transcend poverty to become one of the richest women in the world. You can see that Oprah, from this sentence, was able to rise above. To rise above or go beyond the limits of something. That's to transcend. You often hear stories of famous people, actors, or athletes, musicians, who came from really difficult circumstances, but they were able to transcend. I know Ms. DiRienzo and I are always very impressed when there are students who are able to transcend the immaturity of a class, stay focused on their work, and go above and beyond. So to transcend is to rise above difficulty, to go beyond the limits. Now, because it's something Oprah did, it's a verb. It's an action. This is our second to last word. Our last word is waive. Some people waive their right to have an attorney present when they speak to the police. It's their right, but they give it up. To waive is to willingly give up. So when people waive their right to an attorney, they're giving up that opportunity on their own. They're not being forced into it. By the way, never a good idea to do that. Always demand to have a lawyer. So since this is something people do, it's an action, we call it a verb. So guys, those are our 10 words for chapter 22. Make sure you're ready for your quiz next Wednesday.